Okay, so Anita Sarkeesian is famous for many things.
We are all connected. We are all bond together under the oppression of patriarchy.
Women are being institutionally oppressed all the time in nearly every facet of our lives.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
But this latest one
of my favorite sort of slogans that I've seen on banners at rallies is
Fuck Trump.
Well, that one's great, but
may just knock them all into oblivion and end up costing her more than the $160,000 that she raised to criticize video games. So among the many dumb things that Anita's done, you had things like going to the United Nations and using that wonderful platform for what? Fighting the oppression of women in Saudi Arabia? Where women can actually be beaten in the streets. Real patriarchy. Nah, screw that. FeministFrequency wanted the United Nations to address serious problems, like stopping people online from saying that she sucked.
I think it's important to recognize that harassment is, as someone had mentioned, it's not just what is legal and illegal, right? Harassment is threats of violence, but it's also the day-to-day grind of you're a liar, you suck, but we can make systems that actively deter that kind of behavior, which would make a huge impact on the lives of me and so many other people who are being harassed online.
Or, of course, doing $1 million or so of feminist research into trying to see Batman's butt.
For the purposes of this video, I tried to get a glimpse of Batman's rear end, but it's as if his cape is a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries equipment designed to cover up his butt at all costs.
Actually, Anita, it's a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries technology that allows Batman to fly. Part of the game mechanics. But I've got good news for you. If you really want to see Batman's ass, you could try playing the game.
Look who it is. I can't say I'm surprised.
Now, not happy with merely getting the $1 million or so to bitch about Batman's cape, she also went on to ask for and get another $200,000 to make 5 or so videos about ordinary women. But it turns out the filming for those was actually done at a YouTube facility that's free for YouTube creators, and that the filming was done before they did the fundraiser. Yeah, the scripts and the filming were all done beforehand. They just wanted that $40,000 or so per video for post-production. A little bit of track editing and the animations. Naturally, it was all rigorously fact-checked for those animations, like this one from the world of Emma Goldman.
In 1919, they finally declared her American citizenship invalid and deported her back to Russia. After meeting with Lenin himself, she became deeply disillusioned with the new communist government. So she traveled abroad, speaking out about the oppressiveness of the Soviets, which alienated many of her allies and got her ejected from both Sweden and Germany.
Now, this is meant to show her traveling the world in 1919. Wow, 1919 and North and South Korea are already 2 separate countries, despite the fact that they didn't split till 1945. And similarly, with India and Pakistan, they're already 2 different countries, even though they didn't split till 1947. And wow, even Czechoslovakia is already 2 countries, even though they didn't split till 1993. Now, normally just using a current globe for the animations would be a forgivable sin.
And if you did what we did last time, i.e. divide the 25 grand Anita asked for to create this episode's animation by the number of seconds of animation that are actually in the episode, then the animation alone cost $159.24 per second.
But they got $40,000 to do these crappy little animations, and they couldn't even be bothered to get the country markings from 1920. I mean, damn, some of these $40,000 videos are only 3.5 minutes long, and only a fraction of that is the actual animation. Now, sure, the Ordinary Women series was the professional standard that we've come to expect from FeministFrequency, and I could go into the details of that, but there's a guy called Princeasbel who's already done a pretty reasonable job of that already. But just to complete the joke, even the feminist audiences receive these great historic camera rate wiki summaries of these great trailblazing women from history with apathetic indifference. I don't know, maybe it was the makeup. Or Anita got more hits for bitching about not being able to see Batman's ass than all of these great academic works about women from history. Anyway, so this is just a quick summary of some of the things that Anita, FeministFrequency, has done. But this one just takes the biscuit. You see, Anita has long touted her charity status, her 501c3 tax status. You know, it gave her an air of legitimacy.
I founded and run my own nonprofit organization called FeministFrequency. In my role as executive director,
she ran a legitimate registered charity. You know, for all the great things that she's done for other women, like complaining to the UN how people were allowed to say that she sucked online. Yeah, fight the machine, Anita. Now, 501c3 organizations are tax-free, so the $1 million or so that people have given her was tax-free. They could write that off as a charity donation. Now, political donations, unlike charity donations, are not tax deductible. So as you may expect, it's one of those things that is an absolute prohibition of things that you're just not allowed to do as a 501c3 charity organization is be partisan, to be political. Now, Anita hasn't just crossed that line. She took a giant steaming dump on it.
Shit bag.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
he's okay.
Right, a friend at a rally yesterday, I think an anti-Trump rally, you know, some Trump supporter came by and literally said, you know, go back to your safe space. So one of my favorite sort of slogans that I've seen on banners at rallies is
Fuck Trump.
Well, that one's great, but is, you know, make racists afraid again.
Yeah, fuck Trump. Very non-political, Anita. And just so we're clear who we're talking about here, this is Anita Sarkeesian, the executive director of FeministFrequency, and Caroline Pettit, the managing editor of FeministFrequency, talking in a video on the FeministFrequency Facebook page.
but we really want to do more Facebook live streaming, especially tied into this particular campaign that we're sending out right now. So every week in December, we are sending out a newsletter that tells different ways that you can get involved. Given the political climate, given everything that's going on, I think it's really useful to get some tips and some suggestions of ways that you can engage politically. And so we have this campaign called Amplify Your Involvement.
Yeah, I'm reading from that post on the FeministFrequency homepage. As a result, many of us now feel deeply frightened, paralyzed and helpless, unsure of what we can do to resist the ideologies that Trump represents.
Last week I posted a video responding to the election results and reminding us all that we have to call out and address sexism, racism, and all forms of bigotry, especially as they pervade mass media. That's what FeministFrequency does, and our work is critical right now.
I mean, damn, they were even using the Trump victory as a point to raise money to protest against Trump.
We've heard from you that, like us, you're feeling grief and helplessness and rage and are looking for ways to actively combat this hate. So throughout the month of December, we'll be sharing ways that you can plug in and get involved in the struggle right now and for years ahead. Because of your enthusiastic belief in our work, FeministFrequency has achieved so much over the past 4 years, but we still need your help. Your contribution at this crucial time ensures that we can keep progressing over the next 4 years. Your donation today can help us continue to do this vital work. Let's support each other by challenging unjust representations of individuals and groups and by standing up against hatred and harassment in our communities.
Posted a blog post today on our website. I don't think we've promoted it yet, but it's live on our website that talks a little bit about like some actions that can be taken. There's some links to organizations that we think are doing really good work that we believe people should support. I know this is a time where everyone that's down is like absolutely horrified and grieving and in shock, and there's many people who have never done activism, have never done organizing, and are super new to this and want to get involved and don't really know how. And so we just posted that to help some folks get started, and we will obviously be doing as much as we can. And also, we're going to have to do a lot of on-the-ground organizing and like get involved with organizations that have been doing this work like nonstop. It's not like it just began with Trump, right? This has been going on for a really long time. So
takeaways really are, keep putting pressure on the media itself to not allow for the normalization of Trump, to call him fascist, misogynistic, racist, xenophobic, not hedge the language, and the media needs to be clear about what Trump is.
And that is normal. To be grieving, because I feel like we are all in a massive state of loss and grief. So the takeaways are: put pressure on the media constantly. Don't ever let it stop. Don't let them normalize Trump and his cabinet as in any way like business as usual.
Yes, we can't let that become like the center, or like the default line in American politics.
Yeah, have those hard conversations with friends and family. Join organizations, donate, volunteer, do what you can, and...
I mean, shit, she's not just out there talking about campaigns against Trump, she's attended rallies against Trump.
So, those of you just tuning in, we're in San Francisco. There was a massive walkout in the Bay Area of high schools where students have walked out of classrooms to protest Trump. Okay, y'all, this is a massive high school Bay Area student walkout that I've been filming. They're out here protesting Trump, saying that he's not their president, which good for them. This is our future. My phone is totally dead, so I'm gonna sign out now, but they're gonna keep going, so good. Yes, the more protests, the better.
And posted that video on her Facebook, which is an absolute no-no for their tax-exempt status thing. Now sure, I've been vocal in saying exactly what I think about Trump, but I have that luxury because I didn't apply to be a tax-exempt organization. You, on the other hand, Feminist Frequency, did.
I founded and run my own nonprofit organization called FeministFrequency.
And I've got an itching suspicion that the IRS will take a very dim view on this.
So the takeaways are: put pressure on the media constantly. Don't ever let it stop. Don't let them normalize Trump and his cabinet as in any way like business as usual.
Yes, we can't let that become like the center, or like the default line in American politics.
Yeah.